Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this Zoom fireside chat with Rod Boothby, Global Head of Identity for Digital Platforms at Santander. Hi, Rod. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me.
First, could you tell our viewer a bit about yourself in the role of Global Head of Identity at Santander?
My team helps manage all login for a bank that has 145 million customers. So across a whole bunch of different countries, we provide the technology that the bank uses to determine who's logging into an account.
How would you define an identity?
It's not a simple issue, so it makes sense that you bring up the topic. People have obviously who they are uniquely in the world, and how that's defined connects them with official documents that may be issued by a government. This is your passport, or this is your official credential. They may be issued by a university. Here is your degree. They may be issued by a trade association. Here is your pilot's license. All sorts of different bodies that represent who you are. As a consumer is trying to gather all of their data and leave it in a data vault with their bank, well, we need a platform to do that. We need a technology that helps us to safely, securely gather that information and put it in this data vault. And IO has the technology to do that. You have the secure technology and the capability to make sure that, for instance, if somebody is reconfirming their address from a power company, that that it hasn't been manipulated before it enters the data vault, which means that we as a bank can turn around and say, yes, this is true. And that becomes critically important when we as a bank need to say complicated things like, yes, this person really is the CEO. She can really sign legal agreements on behalf of the company. Or, yes, this person's really in accounts receivable. That's a real invoice. Those are real payment instructions. Or, yes, this person is really in the call center, and they're really trying to help you. They really represent the company. Okay, if we're trying to do all of those things, we have to be certain that that information that represents that individual, those credentials that that person has, we have to be certain that they're valid and true. IO has the technology for us to be certain of all of that information. Otherwise, we'd have to create from scratch ways to gather all of this stuff, and that's not easy.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. That the future is that it will be digital, and that every claim that people make about themselves or companies make about themselves, if they could be verified in minutes, and this could be a very wide set of claims, from education to assets to who your customer are to the fact that you are who you claim you are. If all this can be verified in seconds, it's going to change how the world looks, and it's going to change how business processes happen. And I think this initiative and this thought is going to be the next thing that changes how the internet and how business is done over the web, and how people interact with each other as we become more and more digital, especially after this pandemic.
Yeah, it's going to level the global playing field. Now, somebody running a business in Peru can be just as well known to a customer in Israel or in France as the company down the street, and can be just as well trusted. And so we're going to change the opportunities for small businesses, for individuals, and for big businesses to be able to do business safely and freely in a digital way. It's thanks to what you guys are building.
Why is a financial institution a good area to provide a solution or think about a solution on identity that is used for many other purposes?
Banks have to go through this really complicated process every time they bring on a new customer. We call it onboarding, and we are legally required to do a know your customer process where we connect the person who is opening the account or who is working with us to their official legal identity. The back channel data sources are often stale. They leave the customer out of control, and they're not nearly rich enough to solve the kinds of problems that you need. Too much stuff is still done with paper and pencil. Too much stuff is still done in a non-digitalized way. If we look at what's been done with Bank ID in the Nordics, they have managed to take the mortgage process from something that was a 16-day process and involved lots of paper down to something that can be done in minutes. It's tiny. And
Amazing.
if we can add that to everywhere, it becomes a simple thing. You know, our goal as a financial institution is to help our customers, whether they're individuals or businesses, to thrive. If they thrive, we'll do well. Okay, how do people thrive? They thrive when they can trade with each other. What do they need in order to trade with each other? They have to be able to trust each other. And if they can trust each other, understand who's shipping what, who's providing what, and whether or not they're going to fulfill their requirements and their obligations, is exactly the basis for trade. If we can facilitate that globally, we have a big impact.
I think we'll wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
joining and sharing with us.